So I came across this article here on the Mary Sue that claims that Luke is a Mary Sue. He is the real Star Wars Mary Sue, in fact, and that this is a response to Rey being called a Mary Sue. I didn't even know what the word Mary Sue meant. I had never heard that term before until Rey came along. So if Luke is such a Mary Sue, then why didn't I hear that phrase all throughout my life? But before we get started on this article, please like, comment, share. Click that red button down below my video and click the bell for notifications. I don't get much traction on my videos. Please help me get to 100 subscribers by the first of the year. So share this video with as many people as possible to beat the algorithm. That's what we have to do. Watch the video to the very end to help beat the algorithm. The algorithm will more likely promote my video if you watch all the way through. I do these videos for free for you guys because I don't make any money off of this. I'm just trying to give you something, put some food for thought onto your plate. So, we have the Mary Sue here. Queen of Twitter, Gail Simone, reminds us the real Star Wars Mary Sue was Luke. Oh, she's the queen now. Yes, of course. She is, of course, a Mary Sue because she's Gail Simone. And you find this a lot with these women who think they're so wonderful and great and have done so much stuff and outdone so many men. See, look, we do it better than men. We've done all this better than men. Look how many times I've shown up men, of course, ignoring all the misses that they've had, only focusing on the hits. That the writer of this article and Gail Simone are both Mary Sues in their own mind. We here at the Mary Sue know a lot about, well, Mary Sues. And so when the internet discourse went off today about who in the Star Wars universe is the real Mary Sue, it was sort of like a bat signal for us. And it came thanks to someone with her own bat credentials, legendary comics writer and master fandom troll, Gail Simone. Now, if we wanted to, we could devote a weekly, maybe even daily column to how Gail Simone broke the internet this time. Yeah, she broke the internet. I have never seen one of her tweets. I have no interest in doing that now. We're going to see some down here, and you'll see why I have no interest in seeing them because they're just garbage. And still not fully do justice to the beautiful chaos that is Simone's Twitter feed, whether it's shaming Cyclops or insisting that Brits make their tea in the microwave. We can always rely on Simone to make the jokes no one else would think of, usually ones that whiny fanboys don't quite get. But when it comes to her opinions on Luke Skywalker, that's Skywalker is one word. You can tell that you don't even know what you're talking about. Skywalker is one word, you imbecile. Her humorously delivered opinion is totally correct. No, her humorously delivered opinion is totally wrong, as is the case with all feminazis. So let's move on here. So we have Gail Simone here.
Mark Hamill says he got the Luke Skywalker role by copying George Lucas' exact mannerisms. But sure, Rey is a Mary Sue, if it makes you happy.
Copying someone's mannerisms does not make you a Mary Sue. It does not detract from you being a Mary Sue either. It's simply impressionism. And of course, people popped out of the woodwork to tell Simone she was wrong and started ragging on Rey because men. Yes, of course, men are the reason Rey is a terrible character. Men are the reason for that happening. I suppose you could blame J.J. Abrams and Bob Iger for that, but I think there's another woman that we're going to blame for. A couple other women, actually, too. One of them being Daisy Ridley and the other one being Kathleen Kennedy for the reason that Rey is a terrible character. Moving on.
Case in point.
Is your writing as bad as your general knowledge? As someone who claims to be a writer, you should know that a Mary Sue Gary Stu is. What it is not is a character that copies the creator's mannerisms. What it is what Rey is.
Yes. Truer words have never been spoken in the English language. Rey is a Mary Sue. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. You can't say anything more true. There's no more true statement in the universe than Rey is a Mary Sue. There's just certain truisms in the universe that you find, and this is one of them. And then this person says, she is, and then Gail Simone comes back and says,
She is a common as F archetype, the chosen one, a category of which at least 3 other previous SW characters also belong. This stuff isn't complicated.
It is complicated when you're telling me there's 3 other chosen ones in Star Wars. Who are these 3? Who are these 3 that you're talking about? I can think of 2 that could fill that role, and we're not sure if either one of them actually is or is not. And those 2 are Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker. We're not sure which one of them is the chosen one and is not the chosen one, because they kind of work together to make things happen in this universe. So you don't even know Star Wars. You're making up other characters that are not the chosen one. And Rey is not a chosen one. I mean, they try to play it off as that, And a chosen one can be a Mary Sue. Just because you're a chosen one doesn't mean you're not a Mary Sue. But the thing is, Gail is absolutely right. I mean, seriously, George Lucas created Luke in his own image. He's Luke's adventure avatar. Succeeds magically because he is the chose one, even though his sister is 100 times more competent. And is the hero because the narrative says so. That's a pretty on-point Mary Sue. Now, that's not to say that Luke isn't great, but if the Sue fits, wear it. We love and support Mary Sues round these parts. You're stupid. Okay, round these parts. Let me explain to you why you're stupid. You contradict yourself right here in this paragraph. You say, oh, Luke is a Mary Sue, but his sister is more competent than him, 100 times more competent than him. Really? So maybe it's his sister who's the Mary Sue then, and not Luke Skywalker. Do you think maybe that's the case? You're just vomiting up, just feces vomiting out of your mouth, just coming right out of your mouth. Yeah, and so does they say, they bring it back to this here, this quote that she already said.
Mark Hamill says he got the part of Luke Skywalker role by copying George Lucas' exact mannerisms, but sure, Rey is Mary Sue if it makes you happy.
Okay, and then there's a response to this here.
Luke has like 10 minutes of training, then blows up the Death Star from the cockpit of a ship he's never flown before, let alone in space, without the use of targeting. But Rey's abilities are an issue.
Yeah, okay. Luke had a lot of help in that conflict. Now, I would chalk up the Death Star sequence in the A New Hope film to bad writing. They had a time limit to get to the Death Star and destroy it before it got around the planet to destroy the moon. But yet, the Death Star can destroy planets, so why don't they just destroy the planet? Problem solved. Furthermore, we hear the statement, Luke is the best bush pilot in the Outer Rim. Literally, he is the best bush pilot in the outer planet, so he is a competent pilot. We know that already. The problem that I take issue with in that part of the movie is that Luke doesn't have combat training. He's not indoctrinated into the system that these fighter pilots use to direct their ship to most effectively fight an enemy and not kill each other in the process. That is the part where I take issue. He mentions, that he can target womp rats and that, he flies down Beggar's Canyon. So these are all things that he's done with his piloting experience. Okay. On top of that, this is a typical trope in the hero story. This happens in Zelda. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Link's a little nobody and he goes off and saves the princess. Luke is a little nobody who goes off and saves the princess. That's literally what he does throughout most of the movie. His adventure is to go, hey, look, I'm living my life here. Oh, look, that's all disrupted. Oh, look, I have to go out. Oh, hey, there's a princess I can save. Ooh, that'll be good. It literally is the hero's archetype story. The Farce Awakens is not that. It's not even a little bit that. And we'll get into how Rey is a Mary Sue and Luke is not a Gary Stu in a moment. Don't fear. I will get there.
He is the most Mary Sue of all Mary Sues. I don't care. Neither should anyone. I still love him.
Then why are you coming up here to challenge people, saying that the real Mary Sue is Luke Skywalker? You don't love Luke. You never have, and you never will. And then she says, case in point. I don't know where she's getting that case in point, where that lines up with these other tweets, because this doesn't flow from that there. I mean, let's even look at where Luke goes after the original trilogy. He takes on too much responsibility and is eventually attacked by a member of the order he created. If that isn't a metaphor for Lucas going into the prequels and after, I don't know what is. If there's a correlation between the real life events and the events in the movie, that's just coincidence. It is definitely not a metaphor. Disney is not capable of doing that. But what Simone's trolling and the
What about Rey?
whining really points out is that calling someone a Mary Sue often ends up showing the sexism of the person making that declaration. Nope. It actually has nothing to do with that. If Rey was a well-written character, I wouldn't care. I would have no problem with it. Don't care really about women being Jedi. It doesn't bother me. Doesn't matter to me. I care about well-written stuff.
Remember, the only difference between classic lead characters and Mary Sue is the character, a dude.
Yes, that's what it boils down to. Nobody complains about Katniss Everdeen. I've never heard anybody say, she's just a terrible character. She's a Mary Sue. I mean, she probably does have a little bit of a Mary Sue quality about her, but the fact of the matter is, she's not a bothersome character. Rey is perfect in every single way and can do no wrong. Star Wars is a silly space. Yes, you would think that, and that's why you can say things like, Rey isn't a Mary Sue, Luke is. Which we forget sometimes. And Luke Skywalker is a drama queen who's a pretty transparent self-insert character for the author who wanted to take part in the pulpy B-movie adventures he loved as a kid. Okay, you said it right here. Luke Skywalker is a drama queen. There you go, not a Mary Sue. You guys keep contradicting your own point. It's fanfic and Luke is a Mary Sue, and that's fine because just being fanfic or a character being a Mary Sue doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, both of these things can be highly creative and engaging. Take it from us, being a Mary Sue is pretty fun sometimes. Nope, it's not. It's pointless and stupid. The main issue with Star Wars The Force Awakens is not that Rey is a Mary Sue, although that is a big issue. The main issue is the First Order. If you don't believe me, go ahead and watch my series on how Episode 7 ruined Star Wars. There's a lot of information there. I go through the whole movie, talk about it in detail and how it doesn't work as a movie. It's the worst movie ever made. It's even worse than The Lost Jedi. And I stand by that. If you don't believe me, seriously, go watch my series. And I'll leave a link in the description below to the first episode so you can go through that whole series on why that movie is just garbage. It ruined Star Wars. Okay, so is Luke a Mary Sue? Well, we need to look at some traits of a Mary Sue, maybe. Like, how are they perfect in maybe some ways? I don't know. I'm guessing that they're going to be perfect in some ways because Rey is incredibly perfect in every way possible. Okay. A Mary Sue is a seemingly perfect character, the best at everything she does, always right, never puts a foot wrong, regularly shows up everyone around her. Well, that's a pretty good description of Rey, isn't it? Yeah, so let's take a look at Luke and how he's a Mary Sue, right? So Luke, he shows up everyone around him. Now, I've seen the original edited version, the cutout footage of Star Wars, and in that, it's obvious that he's a whiny little teenager who people question his every move. But we'll skip over that, and we'll see what Luke does or does not do to be a Mary Sue, Gary Stu. He's not given permission to go screw off with his friends, and he loses a droid. He goes in search of the droid and almost gets killed by a Tusken Raider, needs to be saved by somebody. Then he goes to save his family and finds out that he's too late and they're dead. Then he gets into a confrontation in a cantina with two people who will most likely kill him and needs to be saved. Then he is not well liked by Han Solo. And then he comes up with a plan to rescue the princess. Well, there you go. There's one thing that he did that was a good idea, I guess. But they don't do a good job of rescuing the princess. They get caught in the act. And then he's almost killed by some sort of weird trash monster. Now, he did come up with the idea of how to save them from the trash compactor. So that's something. Now, he fought his way off of the Death Star, which is impossible, but that's all up to bad writing. I mean, they were on the enemy's base with thousands of soldiers standing against them. They would not have escaped. Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, none of them would have escaped. So then we get to the most amazing Death Star scene where he's like, he doesn't have any experience. And I talked about this already, but, to go over it again, he is the best bush pilot in the Outer Planets. And he uses the Force because he is the chosen one, so he does have this ability. That doesn't make him a Gary Stu at this point. He's done very little right in this whole film. He's struggled to get through everything and anything. Oh yeah, he did the grappling hook thing. Okay, so he did the grappling hook thing. Yeah, okay, adventure stuff. Bad writing, really. But I mean, it was fun. It's to make a fun movie. All right, now we move into the second movie where he is almost killed by a Hoth Wampa and needs to be rescued by Han. Then he gets into the AT-AT fight where his gunner is killed, and he is shot down by the AT-AT and almost killed by the AT-AT until he actually does kill one. He destroys an AT-AT, so that's good on him. Then he goes to Dagobah where he crashes his X-Wing and fails in his training as a Jedi more than once, especially in the cave where he fights himself, who he thinks is Vader. And then he fails to get his X-Wing out of the bog using telekinesis. And then he goes to confront Vader in a fight which he loses. And not only does he lose, he actually loses part of his body. Is hacked off, an important part. His right hand, like one of the most important parts of your body, eliminated. And so, seeing no escape from his situation other than to join Vader or kill himself, he just chooses to kill himself by jumping into the Cloud City. I guess during the fall, he decides that he shouldn't do that, and he manages to save himself, only to end up in a dire situation where he's rescued by Leia. Then in the third movie, he goes and this. Okay, so the Jabba the Hutt sequence is my favorite sequence in all of Star Wars, and also the stupidest sequence in all of Star Wars. It absolutely makes no sense. I got into a long discussion with somebody on YouTube once about this sequence not making any sense, and he had answers for most of my questions, but he couldn't answer all my questions because the sequence in which Luke saves Han Solo is ridiculous and makes no sense. There was only really two options to save Han. I've thought about it a lot, and one is negotiation, and they would pay for him, and that's probably what would happen. They'd offer him like 2 million credits, and Jabba the Hutt, he'd probably go, Han Solo suffered enough, and I'm going to make $2 million off this deal. I'll let him go. The other option is a full frontal assault on Jabba's palace. You're not going to be able to sneak in and then sneak him out. That's not going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. The whole let's sneak people in and then we'll sneak him out thing really doesn't make any sense. Think about it. If you haven't thought about it yet, just think about the steps he takes and how he would have lost at least one of his friends in the process of that whole sequence. So it's just so poorly written that you can't qualify that as a Mary Sue situation. It is a poorly written sequence. Then he goes and joins up with Han Solo and Leia, and they go to Endor, and he almost jeopardizes the mission because Darth Vader can sense his presence on the shuttle. Then on the surface of Endor, he gets separated from Leia, allowing her to be injured and then captured by the Ewoks, which, I mean, she was not really a prisoner, but close enough. That's not exactly stellar behavior on the part of Luke. Then he goes to confront Vader and gets into a fight with Vader, which he wins, but then is rescued from the Emperor by Vader. So yeah, he failed there as well. So not really looking like a Mary Sue too much there. Let's see about Rey though. Rey has zero support and is on her own as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old girl. And she's scavenging to survive and barely making it. Everybody listens to what she has to say, except for the one dude who she's asking for rations from. It's like, no, I'm not going to give you more rations. That's the cost. But then when BB-8 comes along, she's like, hey, leave him alone, he's mine. And the dude complies just without any fuss. Yeah, okay. She manages to fight off 4 individuals by herself. She's managed to survive alone on this planet fairly well. And in reality, she would have been either killed or taken as a concubine by someone. So far, she's doing pretty good. She discovers the Millennium Falcon, and she can fly this plane, even though she's never flown anything, ever. You're telling me, oh, Luke is the chosen one because he can fly an X-Wing, and he's never flown an X-Wing before. Yeah, but she's never flown anything. Rey's never flown anything, whether in space or in an atmosphere. And yet she can fly and combat pilot this spaceship she's never flown before. And how did she know about the Millennium Falcon anyway? She had nothing. She had no information, no contact. There was no TV. There was no computer system to tell her these things. How did she know about all this, the Millennium Falcon? And then how does she know how to fix it? I mean, I get it. She's a scavenger of spaceships, so she understands how. No, she doesn't. She doesn't understand the workings of spaceships. She understands what parts are valuable. That's it. But yet she knows how to repair the Millennium Falcon better than the owner of the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo. Yeah, okay. She does make one mistake in the process, saves Finn by making a mistake. When she was like trying to close the doors to keep those monsters were from running around, she closes one door wrong and it severs the tentacles of the monster that happens to have Finn. And then she goes on to learn how to use the Force better than a Force master without any training and never having heard of the Force or never having known that the Force was real, at least, until like a few hours before. And then all of a sudden she is better at the Force than a Force master. A person who can do things we've never seen done before with the Force. Freezing blaster bolts right in midair. But she can use it better than him. She can outfight him. And she suddenly develops an immunity to his Force fainting spell that he cast on her originally when he first met her. Said, yeah, I want you to faint. So Not only that, but she can also communicate with BB-8 because, she's so Mary Sue that she can just communicate with anyone, and BB-8 loves her. Luke was not liked by R2-D2 and didn't understand the word R2-D2 was saying unless he was reading it on a monitor or being told what he was said by C-3PO. Daisy Ridley is an attractive woman. I mean, I would date her. Well, she's too tall for me a little bit. She's not that tall, but I'm pretty short. So she's an attractive woman. Luke is just kind of blah looking, especially in the first movie. After he got the plastic surgery on his face from the accident, he looked a lot better. But in the first movie, he looked kind of like a goober. Look at Luke. He looked like a goober in the first movie. So Rey can do anything, and she outfights Jedi Master. She outfights Luke, even though she's never been trained with a lightsaber. She outpilots people who are trained pilots in combat situations, even though she's never flown a starship before. She goes to confront Luke Skywalker because, she's the bestest ever when she doesn't even know Luke Skywalker. I mean, she comes to his planet with Chewbacca. Yeah, Chewbacca doesn't go, hey, I'm going to go talk to Luke, my buddy that I love and haven't seen in a while. Nope, I'm going to send the stranger to go talk to him. It sounds to me like this is Kathleen Kennedy's movie. Kathleen Kennedy wanted to be a Jedi, so she chose a tall, slender woman to play her. Gee, imagine that. Kathleen Kennedy's a tall, slender woman with brown hair. Maybe it's just that you hired a terrible person to direct your movie who doesn't understand that stories need to have endings.
What are stories but mystery boxes?
So yeah, I'm tired of this garbage that says that Rey isn't a Mary Sue, or at the very least, Luke is also a Mary Sue. Luke failed so many more times than Rey. It's ridiculous. Rey has never failed, not of any consequence. Rey is so incapable of failure that when she went to see Luke and he said, no, I'm not going to train you. You're going to fail. And then she said, no, I'm going to learn it on my own and outclass you. You got to stop with this. You don't even know Star Wars. You're not a Star Wars fan. You don't get to have an opinion about Star Wars. All right? I don't care if you think you're a Star Wars fan. You're not a Star Wars fan when you're saying stuff like this. You're not a Star Wars fan if you think Disney Star Wars is good. And you can like bad artwork. Go ahead and like Disney Star Wars all you want to, but you're not a Star Wars fan if you do that. All right. That's all I got for this time. Again, please like, comment, and share. And I will see you next time. Have a happy New Year.